So there's a lot of mixed feelings with this whole elf hunt, and while I talk about it, I'm just gonna walk around my plot. I invited you guys here, so people are joining. I'm just gonna get right into it. A lot of people like it, a lot of people are kind of iffy about it, and some people just are not happy with it. And I am going to rate it a 9 out of 10. My main opinion is really just the times that the elves were coming out. They kept getting later and later and later, and they were cutting into my family time because I stay off my computer after dinner, and my dinner is usually around 6 o'clock, so I kind of give myself that break time of electronics, and I also just want to hang out with my family. But the elf started to get into that time frame, and I personally like things on a schedule. I like to know what time things are at all the time. I literally live by schedules. If I don't have a schedule, I kind of go nuts, which is a little concerning, but I loved the first time, and I think the first time was like 4 o'clock Pacific time. That is perfect for me. Honestly, I would prefer it a lot sooner, and I think a lot of people would agree with me that we want it like kind of midday or early morning, because a lot of these times were at night, because you have to think of other time zones. Like, I'm Pacific time zone, so Eastern Standard Time, they're 3 hours ahead of me. So if it's 4 o'clock where I am, it's already 7 o'clock where they are. So it would be a lot better if it was kind of early in the day or midday. For the locations, I really liked them. I liked how they were really challenging. I didn't do last year's elf hunt because I didn't really understand it, but I am really glad that I was able to participate in this one and make videos for it. I think my favorite one was the hang gliding elf, which I think a lot of people hated because they couldn't get onto the roof, which they eventually did add a ladder like I said in yesterday's video. There's also only so many locations on the map, so I don't know what they're going to do next year if they even do the elf hunt. I feel like they might, just because a lot of people do look forward to it. Maybe we'll have to do like more of like a quest type thing, which would be really cool. I don't have any examples because my brain is not processing right now. I'm going to try to think of one. Let's see. Maybe you had to like talk to characters around the map or something. Maybe you had to talk to someone at the hairdressing place, and then you had to go to pizza place, and then they told you like the location of the elf or something, but they give you like a hint. I don't know. I just think that would be really cool and make people think a little. So again, I would rate it a 9 out of 10 because I still really do like the elf hunt, and I think they should do more of those things more often. And now I want to look at some opinions from you guys on Twitter. What would you rate the elf hunt out of 10 and why? So we do have some responses that are not loading. That's cool. 8 because it was fun finding it, but we had to wait so long. If we didn't need to wait so long, sometimes it would be a 10 out of 10. Completely agree. I think the longest I sat waiting for an elf was like an hour. I actually started to put timers on my phone each day for later and later. And then it started being like an hour in between each elf, which was kind of a lot. And I do understand because they probably wanted players to stay on the game, because I don't know if that helps the game with like analytics or something. So that's probably why they did it later and later, and to just give it more of a challenge. But a lot of people were pretty annoyed at the times. Really fun, but really time consuming, and waiting for every day when they change the times. OMG, glad it's finally over. I think I'm gonna miss the elf hunt, but I don't miss waiting for a while. 7 out of 10. I feel like if you got the trophy last year and you were mainly on time, you could get the platinum trophy because the elf hunt was very time consuming. Also, I felt like the hunt should have only had the cookies rather than the lattes. Overall, pretty good though. Maybe it was all holiday cookies last time or something. Again, I'm not sure because I didn't do it. I think it was kind of nice that it was different things. The gingerbread latte was definitely a struggle. I think a lot of people are having a hard time with that one. And the milk one, that milk one got on my nerves, not gonna lie. I was pretty annoyed. But yeah, maybe sticking to like one type of food, like a cookie would be good rather than changing it to like a drink or something. So I do agree with that comment. I think especially for the younger players, it would make it a little bit easier on them. 7, I feel like similar to last year, except how long it took to find them gets boring. 7 out of 10, mainly since they were pretty hard to find and were picky with what they wanted, so I had to resort to tutorials a lot. Yeah, I think a lot of people were looking at tutorials. I know that my videos were getting quite a lot of views. My videos don't usually do that well, so I think a lot of people were actually looking at tutorials and waiting for the YouTubers to find them for them, which honestly makes sense. I mean, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, I would probably be doing the same thing. 10 out of 10, it was fun and challenging and time consuming. I agree with the fun and challenging. The time consuming, like I said at the beginning, not a big fan of. 9 out of 10, the BFF supermarket one was a bit hard. 2, because I have things to do and I would like to get the good trophy, but I don't have the time to stay with it. Yeah, I do understand, but like for the people that do find the elf like right away, I think it makes sense to give them like the higher prize, but if you do miss just one of the elves in that time frame, you don't get the trophy at all, which is kind of a bummer. So I do understand the struggle there. This year's elf hunt was either really easy or it was really tricky, but I actually like that it switched up more and makes it more challenging. I wish it came at a consistent time though, because it kept getting later each time. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the time consuming or having it be later and later. I feel like 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time would be like a perfect time for the elf to come out. 9 out of 10 because some of them were a bit hard to get, but I think it was good. Yeah, that makes sense. 5, I wish we still got the new trophy even if we were late. 10, it gave the community a challenge in finding the elf and getting to it, and I really hope they do more scavenger hunts like this. Absolutely agree. I definitely want to see more of these scavenger hunts. Because like it shouldn't be a seasonal thing, they should definitely do some more of them, because this does keep more players online. We spent way too much time waiting for the elf, got way too late, it was too easy to find and took 5 to 10 minutes to find each night. Some were hard, but it was great. 8.4, very specific, out of 10, since the timing for me was midnight. Time consuming and quite hard to find and gave me a big headache. Yeah, a lot of people were like staying up until like 2 or 3 in the morning, which is pretty crazy. Like, I'm someone who gets in bed at 9, reads until 10, and goes to bed. Like, every night, that's my routine. So if you're staying up until midnight, holy cow, like I don't know how people do that. I do think it would help a lot of people's sleep schedules if it was earlier in the day. 8 out of 10 mainly because of the time they came out. 6 to 7. First of all, the elf had no set spawn time, so many of us had to wait hours on end for the elf to disappear and respawn. Second of all, the elf hunt was very inconvenient for most overseas players as it was too late into the night / early into the morning. They really couldn't experience it firsthand, which is a shame. Third of all, even with volume turned up, I couldn't hear the jingle. Lastly, I wasn't much of a fan of us needing to give it lattes, milk, etc. Okay, I'm glad that they actually mentioned the jingle. I was riding a motorcycle and the sound of the motorcycle was actually getting in the way of the jingle, and it was really difficult to hear it. At one point, I think I just gave up and just ignored the jingle and just kept looking for it myself. So I do wish the jingle was louder. And another thing actually I want to say is that you had to get a certain distance from the elf for it to spawn, and that can make it pretty difficult. I think if you could just see the elf from like a further distance, it would help a lot of people, especially because some of them were harder to find. Like, obviously don't have no distance because that's no fun, but having like a bigger range, I guess, would be fair. And I also really appreciate not being able to see them on the camera unless you get so close, because a lot of people would, they'd use the camera in their neighborhood to go looking. But I like it that they didn't do that because it makes it more fun that you actually have to go find it. So those are all of the responses from Twitter, and they all seem pretty fair and kind of the same. Like, a lot of people really talked about time and the food. So maybe next time they just stick to cookies and maybe create a couple more cookies, which would be cool. So then it's not just like 3 cookies, I think is what it was. Oh, I think another thing that was kind of annoying was the baking, because if you had the cookies not ready beforehand, you had to wait for that oven, and that oven takes a very long time. I think if the ovens were a little faster, that would be really nice. So those are just some of the opinions. I think a lot of people can agree with these opinions. For the elf hunt, I want to know what your guys' opinions are in the comments. I would love to read through them. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and if you have not yet subscribed, make sure you do, and I will see you guys in my next video.